I think Anthony Joshua gets So we are going to be looking at the predictions for the boxing on the weekend. Now, day of reckoning. So we're getting to see all the boxers we want to see, but none of them are fighting each other, unfortunately. So we're going to have a little look. I'm going to look for pretty much the main four fights that we're going to we're interested in. There's a couple of others on the card, but the big four, we're going to look at Dubois versus Miller. We're going to look at Bivol versus Arthur. We're going to look at Wilder versus Parker, and we're going to look at Joshua versus Wallin. Now, if this card goes right, it could set up some fantastic fights, but it could also lead to some huge upsets. Now, I'm going to sort of give my predictions of what I think is going to happen. So the first fight we're going to look at is Dubois versus Big Baby Miller. Now, Miller is coming off a win on Lucas Brown, but in that fight, he was looking quite tired. So we've got Daniel Dubois, who obviously we know his last fight, he lost against Alexander Usyk. And there is a bit of controversy to that with the low blow. Was it? Wasn't it? But that's neither here nor there. Now, the one thing that we sort of know about Dubois is that he does have a tendency to I'm not going to say give up in a fight, but he does have a tendency to sort of give up in a fight. Like some people would say that he just didn't get up off the canvas when he could have. That's neither here nor there. I personally think that Dubois wins this fight, mainly because I think Miller gets tired and I think he burns himself out. I think Miller comes out swinging. I think he comes out to try and knock out Dubois. But I do think Daniel Dubois gets the win on this fight, whether that's TKO or unanimous decision. I think he will scrape the win. I don't think that will sort of carry him any further, though. I don't think he'll ever get to that top level. I don't think he's ever going to be sort of like a title contender, but I do think that he'll potentially get the win in that fight. Now, the next fight we're going to be sort of looking at is Dimitri Bivol. Now, Bivol now is going to be fighting Arthur. Now, Bivol, I just think, is going to win this one. I don't think there's going to be much problem with this. I think he's just going to come out. I think he's going to pretty much just come out there and KO him. I think he's going to knock him out, get the KO, and I think that'll be it. I know he hasn't got many KOs on his record, but I do think that he's going to come out and win by knockout for this one. So I might eat my words. I might be completely wrong, but I think he's going to come out and I think he's going to KO him. I think he's going to be there to sort of prove a point on this one. So we will see how it turns out, but I might be wrong, but hopefully I'm right. Now, the next fight we're going to look at is probably the one that sort of like is going to set up the most. So this is Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. Now, Joseph Parker is coming off a couple of wins, but his last big loss was to Joe Joyce. And since then, he's had he's had 3 wins, 2 of them by KO. So he's done pretty good recently. He's, again, old staple of the heavyweight division, Joseph Parker, great fighter. I think Wilder still knocks him out, though. I don't think Joseph Parker really stands a chance in this. I think we come out and we see quite an early knockout. I know Wilder's been inactive for quite a while, and he's really gone out and done, like, I think it was just 1 round, I believe, in his last fight against Helenius. Yeah, so he won in the first round against Helenius, and his last fight before that was against Tyson Fury in 2001. So it was a long time out the ring. So that could be ring rust. Again, Joseph Parker's, he's an old dog. He's there. He's not going to be sort of like going out there to lose the fight. He's going out there to have a go. And I think he's been in the game long enough to sort of know how to survive a couple of rounds. But I do think that Deontay Wilder finds the knockout. And I think probably in spectacular fashion. Now, that sets up the Joshua Wilder fight if Anthony Joshua wins. So Anthony Joshua, is fighting Otto Wallin. So Otto Wallin, as you remember, went the distance with Tyson Fury, and some say could have potentially pipped him. He gave him a very good fight. And again, he put Fury right on the back burner, but that's not something that we tend to not see with Fury. Fury, sometimes if he underestimates an opponent, he will sort of not perform. But I think Anthony Joshua gets knocked out. I think he gets KO'd in this fight. And I'll tell you why. Now, I could be wrong. If it goes the distance, AJ's winning on points. I don't care how the fight goes. I think AJ, if it goes the distance, wins on points. But I think AJ's going to go out there with a lot of pressure. He's going out there now to try and prove a point. His last fight against Helenius, he didn't particularly, I didn't think, perform brilliantly. A lot of his fights now, the last couple of fights he's had, have pretty much gone the distance. So he hasn't really been sort of like looking for the KOs and hunting the KOs like he used to. I know he knocked out Helenius, but I wouldn't say Helenius was really the sort of opponent that was going to give him a huge amount of trouble. I think he was selected pretty cleverly for Joshua, but I still think Joshua struggled when he should have been making light work of him. Deontay Wilder, like I said, knocked him out in round 1. I think Joshua now made a lot of sort of like messy work of that fight and was sort of gun shy. He found it, but I don't think he was against an opponent who was really going out there to sort of, who really had a chance. But I think Otto Wallin does go out there, and I think he potentially knocks out Anthony Joshua. I think the thought of the Wilder fight, Joshua being a bit gun shy, Joshua slightly scared to engage, trying to play it too safe to protect the future big money fight of Deontay Wilder. I think all this leads into the upset of Otto Wallin KOing Joshua, and I think that is the end of Anthony Joshua if it does happen. I can't see a way back if Joshua doesn't obviously win this fight in spectacular fashion. If he does a 12-round unanimous decision and Wilder goes out there and floors Joseph Parker in a round or two, I don't think the fight sells. I don't think people want to see Anthony Joshua versus Wilder then. For that fight to work, we need to see 2 big, massive KOs. One from Wilder, one from Joshua. And I don't think that's going to happen. But if Wilder wins, then where does he go from there? So I think if Wilder wins, that potentially then sort of either sets up, I think he'll maybe take on, obviously, the winner of Fury and Usyk, or try to. Well, Fury wins, I don't think Fury will ever fight Wilder again, but I think he potentially takes the Usyk fight. But I don't think going straight into that would be a good decision either. I think Wilder needs to go out there and fight, either get a fight in with somebody like Hrgovic or maybe the winner of the Dubois Miller, just to get in the ring and keep active. I'm not saying those opponents are going to really cause him any trouble, but I think that's probably where the heavyweight division sort of goes from there. Then obviously the big money fight is all deciding on obviously the results and how the results happen. So there are my predictions. Daniel Dubois, I think he wins. Bivol, I think he wins. Wilder, I think he wins. And Wallin, I think he wins. So like and comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me see who you have for your predictions. And let's see what happens on the night.